guys. Welcome back to another episode of The Girls Want to Know.
The Girls Want to Know.
I'm your host, Fatimah Talia.
Oh, we're introducing ourselves this
Yes.
week. Hey, guys. My name's Alicia.
Just in case people don't know who we are. I feel
Welcome
like we're
back.
still building.
Or welcome. Yes, I like this. Okay.
This is like a good, because the summer's almost over.
Yes.
We're going to be moving into like, damn near like a season.
No,
3.
summer is over, baby. The first day of fall was yesterday.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm. It was the 22nd. Yes, it's 22nd.
Well, I wanted to bring this up because I'm like, we've been doing this how many years?
I mean, we almost at year 2. We'll be at year 2 in January, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, people that are just new to us, this is who we
Welcome
are.
Back, yes. We'll be talking about all kinds of stuff. Mental health.
Mental health is usually our like.
Yes, that's our vibe.
Lane.
But then we also talk a lot of shit because that's just
That
fun.
too. We into it all. Gotta get a little tea at the same time. You get your mind
Get
together.
a little spicy.
What are we talking about today?
We're gonna talk about the art of letting go and getting over.
Yeah.
The getting over part specifically, I feel like letting go is that's one beast, and then getting over is a whole other beast.
One.
And
yeah.
so we're gonna dabble a little bit into that.
Okay.
So yeah,
what are your thoughts on that? I would say,
what would you say? It's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
I would say so. My letting go, specifically of like jobs, of relationships. I would say my like practice of it started in 2017 when I ended a very, very long relationship.
Smart for you.
Yeah.
I still was dumb.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think you're dumb. You just hadn't reached your part yet where you were supposed to learn that.
Well, you go first have you ever told your breakup story on here?
I haven't. So I was with a guy from the time I was in college until like my early 30s. So like 12 years.
Okay.
And we like... The plan was we moved to LA. He wanted to work in the film industry. I wanted to work in fashion. I got on pretty quickly after we moved to LA. And so I was very like supportive of his career. Like financially, emotionally, mentally, just it's a hard industry to break into. And so I was very supportive of that. And we were together for a very long time. And then a little bit after he got on, he cheated. And the girl was pregnant. And for a minute, like for a couple of little weeks there, I was like, I have worked really hard to create this life that we've created. I'm going to try to tough it out. But I do not think that women are meant to raise other women's kids.
I don't think women are meant to be with a man who's cheating.
I don't think women are meant to be, no, like literally that. But I also think... no judgment if you ever stay with your man after he cheats.
If you are married.
Yes, whatever it is. Like if you decide to stay with your man after he cheats, that's your situation. But I also just think they're gonna cheat again if they cheated once, and so or
I'm gonna start cheating, and now we're just
some cheating ass people.
Now we're weird.
But she was pregnant, and I just was, and it was twins, and I was just kind of like, oh God, don't want me in this because the way my anxiety was like, just. It had me by the throat. By the throat. Okay?
So how did you, what tools did you use to move on from something like that?
So,
I would have been in jail. Good old fashioned jail.
Not good old fashioned jail.
Lock me up.
Clink, clink.
Clink, clink. Because, baby.
Good old fashioned jail has sent me to the moon, bitch.
Good old fashioned jail.
Oh, we back in the old seats.
If y'all watched last week, Alicia was really like, these chairs don't make sense.
I think I like the old seats. Or these not the old seats. These are different. Are these different?
I feel like these are the old ones.
Are these the old ones?
I think that they are.
Okay.
The other ones had like little arm.
They did. They were tan or they were gray with like brown arms. Okay. Yeah. I'm so sorry. This kind of stuff. Okay.
That's good that you...
It's not that it takes me out of a moment. I need the continuity.
That was very ADHD of you.
Okay, yeah.
He was having a conversation. You was like, these chairs don't add up.
Yes, because I was feeling them and I was like, this is different than what it was last week. And I'm honestly a little off track right now. And I have to tell my brain, get the fuck back on track, bitch.
Man, no, you were telling us what steps did you use to get over that?
Okay, so
like did you get upset?
Oh God, I was broken in half, like devastated, with him, annihilated. Yeah. Like there was some rage, yes. Okay. And there was a lot of crying and a lot of anger because we had both worked very hard to create a very comfortable life for ourselves, and we had literally just gotten there. And this happened. He did this. I shouldn't say this happened because that's just a very passive way of saying it. Someone did this. But it ended up being a thing where I had so much anxiety about it, I just had to leave. And so one night I was just like, I saw some shit and I was just like, you know what? I can't do this shit no more. You gotta go. And the steps that immediately followed, I feel like, are very important.
Oh, you put him out?
Yes.
Well, you should have. Because you were the official breadwinner.
Well, it wasn't even that. It was just one of them things where, like, I felt like the veil had kind of been pulled off. I found out some other shit, and I was just like,
that.
yeah.
It's always
I found out that there was some lies, and I just got tired because you constantly are asking questions, and your intuition knows if you're asking questions and getting answers that are not true.
Mm-hmm.
And my intuition just kept telling me something is off. And so I ended up finding out the answers to my questions, and I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I can't do it no more. And
so did you drop kick him at all?
No.
Okay.
I know. No, I'm not a violent person.
I don't consider myself violent, but I do consider myself handing out ass whoopings when necessary. It's a difference.
No, I'm not.
Difference. So I don't think I'm violent. I think
I also
not playing with you.
Yeah, no. I'm not. He had to go, and the steps that immediately followed for me were very, very necessary. So I couldn't stay in that apartment.
No.
And I think a lot of times when you leave a relationship, when you stay in the same space that you had the relationship in, it thwarts your healing. It makes it very difficult for you to move on because you're constantly triggered by the fact that this was a shared space and now it's a individual space. Wow. Yeah. So
I never even thought about that.
Yeah. I immediately started looking for an apartment. I had been in that apartment with him for 6 years or so. But the truth of the matter is, like, once you get to a place where you've decided you don't want to be in the relationship anymore, every single thing about the relationship and every single thing outside of the relationship that is like a shared thing that you do together or did together is going to re-trigger you in some way. So the first thing I did...
remember.
You can't remember?
It goes away after a while. I had, when I moved, I seem like everybody has this story. When I moved to LA, I was in a relationship. We moved from Chicago to LA together. And then... you know, we got here. It was like, this is what I wanted to do. Well, not as necessarily comedy. I was like, I want to be, you know, an actor and be on TV and whatever. And he wasn't sure what he wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So we came, you know, mostly for me. But when we got here, I don't know. It's something in the LA air. But we both really got different. And I think, and we met really young too. So we met like in college.
Yeah,
so.
We met young, very, very, very young. So, I think that's also why I'm just kind of like, I don't know. Yeah. It doesn't bother me.
But what I was trying to say was, I had, when we broke up, it was random as fuck too. And it was crazy because I think, you know, what I'm learning about men, not all of them, but the ones I've encountered, it's something about a man and a woman that is successful. I don't know what that is, but we were fine when I was like a starving artist. Yeah. And I was like trying to find my way in LA. And we were good. We were a very solid couple. Everybody was always like, you guys are a vibe, da, da, da. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until probably, I forget what year it was, but I had wrote a web series. And because I really want to follow after Issa. So I wrote a web series.
A good path to be on, yes.
And I shot the web series. And then I found people to redo my apartment to make it like a set. I found people I had a whole cast. So
you got on, yeah.
And I shot the show and it actually blew up. And
it was around the time threatening for him.
When like new YouTube, right. Yeah. YouTube shit was popping. You go look for it, guys. It's actually, I think I have more fucking YouTube followers for the show than I have for myself.
Shut up. What's the name of it?
It's called The Life and Times of Samantha Jane. I was really into 90s TV shows as a kid because they had those long titles.
Samantha Jane, I love that.
So I produced that show and then comedy started really going well. I was leaving a lot and lo and behold, he started cheating on me when I was leaving. I kind of knew, but the way that I found out, y'all, was his phone was connected to our house computer.
Yeah.
And I like saw it.
Yeah.
And I still didn't say nothing because in my mind, I was like, I got to stay focused on the bag. I'm about to win. But, you know, when it all came said and done, and we were engaged when I found this out, guys. Yikes. I had a ring on my finger and all kind of shit. But then when we broke up, I had to stay in that apartment for 5 years.
Oh, God. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I had to get up out of there.
Wasn't in a position to leave.
So I thought I wasn't going to be in a position to leave either. But it ended up happening because I was not like saving money by any stretch of the imagination. We was making a lot of money and we was spending a lot of money. Okay. Yeah. Like we was just doing the most and the worst. And what ended up happening was I called my 401k company and was like, I need to I need a
Yeah.
like whatever. I don't think it's called an advance, a withdrawal.
Yeah,
I
they
did a
don't have that for
401.
entertainers.
Yeah.
It's just called homeless.
I did a 401k withdrawal, and literally I was looking for apartments on my lunch break before I went to work. I was looking for apartments after work. I would go sometimes and see 2 apartments on a 1-hour lunch break. And the apartments on LA, baby.
At that time, they probably weren't that bad though.
I mean, I ended up, my budget when I initially started looking was like $1,600, and I ended up paying $18, which was the very, very top of what I could afford.
At that time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 2017. But the funny thing was the shit that I was seeing for like $1,700 was just so ridiculous. Like, you literally going to look at apartments, and I would like buzz the landlord to come let me in, and it would be like one of those places where it's like a big building with an enclosed courtyard. And I would go in and it would be like screen doors laying on the ground, and all the like plant life, vegetation, all that shit would be dead and brown.
Apartment shopping in LA.
And I was just kind of, one of those times it happened, and I walked into that little open courtyard, and I was like, oh, I don't even need to see the place. I'm okay. Thank you. And I just turned around and walked out, because what the fuck you mean you charging $17.95 for this? I got to come in here and look at this every day?
I remember looking for an apartment. This girl that lived there had already moved out, but we came to look at the space, and she looked really disheveled. She came out of like, I don't know where she was. She was just moving out of the unit that we went to look at, and she came out and was like, don't do it.
Yeah, no, she'll just slide you a little note like,
I was like,
save
LA
yourself.
Is weird.
Yeah, no, so, but
that was your first step to like,
that was the first
forward.
step. And the thing is, this is the thing that I will say is very important about a breakup, or about letting go and like starting your process of letting go. When I was looking for an apartment, I was very specific about what I wanted, because you need to find somewhere beautiful to heal in. So I literally looked at probably 15 apartments in 2 weeks on lunch breaks, before work, after work. And the apartment that I have now, I walked in and I did not even see the whole thing. I walked into the front hallway and I was like, this is it. I knew it before. It is the best place, guys. It's so cute.
That's good that you're saying that.
Yeah.
That's starting to make me feel like, damn, bitch.
Yeah.
Damn, bitch.
So let me just tell you.
Not to be rude, but that happened to me we broke up in 2017. So the whole 2018
we broke up at the same time,
was a travesty.
Yeah, I broke up in December 2017, and baby, I was fighting for my life for 2018. Yeah. I
didn't leave that apartment until summer of 2019.
Shit. Yeah. Yeah, and I just feel like it keeps you stuck in a way.
I didn't really heal. I learned a lot about, like, it was a great learning experience for me about who I was, and like my career and what kind of woman I was. But I don't think I healed right, because of people that I was attracting. Like, I remember the person that I was with at the time after that breakup. And then I moved to a better place. And I think I healed in that place because it was a nice place, but I had a crazy roommate. So I could only heal when the door was closed.
Damn.
I don't think I really, 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 really started to heal until 2021.
Okay, yeah. So you had a very prolonged process.
My fucking life.
Yeah.
It was when I moved where I'm at now.
Yeah.
It's by myself. And that year was the year.
Yeah.
That was the year, like, I felt like my career was popping and I was meeting better people. I think I was dating somebody that was normal. It was like, it took me a while.
That's the other thing, and people are not going to love to hear this, but you really, if you are trying to heal from something kind of catastrophic, and I would say what I went through was catastrophic, because it does a real number on you mentally to be with somebody for that long, to have them lie, to have them cheat, to have babies come into, like, your brain is trying to reconcile way too many things at one time.
Mine was too, because I was like, not you move here with me.
Yeah. And so
as soon as I blow up.
Yeah, we moved together, and as soon as he blew up, and I wouldn't even say he blew up, but he kind of got a foot.
Like that moment where you're like, oh.
He got a foot in the door of the industry that he wanted to be in, and he was starting to make money, and he blew our lives up. And so for me, it was one of those things where I was really grieving very heavily. And people are not going to want to hear this, but when you are trying to get over a relationship, there's this thing that people say is the best way to get over somebody is to get under somebody new.
No, it is not.
No. You really need to spend a significant amount of time alone. I'm going to say that again because I want y'all to hear me. You need to spend a significant amount of time alone when you are trying. And that's not like
6 months, because I'll be doing that dumb shit and it don't be working.
No, I was alone. And I honestly feel like this is the reason that I'm able to kind of navigate relationships so easily now is because I was alone for like a year and a half.
I should have waited.
Where I was literally like going to the movies by myself. I was going to dinner by myself. I would go on hikes alone. Like anything that I wanted to do, I was doing it by myself. Because at the end of the day, when you're in a relationship and you end it, especially when you're in a relationship for that long, you take on so many characteristics from that person, and that person takes on so many characteristics from you. So many of your interests, so many of your hobbies, so many of your thoughts and beliefs, y'all just kind of like transfer back and forth because you are together all the time. So when you become a single person very suddenly, there's a lot of unlearning that you need to do and then relearning who you are. And if you don't take the time to do that, what ends up happening is you just invite another person into your psyche, and they're giving you other stuff that's also not you. And whenever that relationship inevitably ends, you also have to unlearn that stuff too. So it really is important to be alone, as hard as it is.
I think for me, it's a little different. I think my struggle with moving on quickly wasn't necessarily...
But you don't got to move on quickly, I think. That's the thing.
I wouldn't say move on quickly. Let me change quickly. I would say structure and moving on. I think a lot of that for me was difficult because of the fact that I at the time of my life, I looked at relationships and love completely different than where I look at it now. And I think there was no way for me to become this woman then go through all that stuff.
It was
like
not,
I think the reason that I was making the decisions I made after that broken engagement was because I still was delusional.
Yeah. And so the funny thing
I was
is,
like, I knew I was engaged to the person that I wanted to be with. I planned to marry that person. And when that didn't work out, my mental was in a space of, well, I want to be married. I want, this is what I wanted with this person.
I was alone
so I went
for so
outside
long.
and had that mentality.
Yes.
Also, I went outside not knowing I lived in LA. Yeah. Because I was dating somebody for 7 years from Chicago. Yeah. By the time we got single and I got back outside, people was like, baby, they not talking in person. You better get the app. So I was like, what's going on?
That's how I felt coming. I felt like Cap coming out of the ice. Like, I just did not know
what's going on out here.
Were we shopping for men online? That's crazy.
I don't remember. So my whole process of dating and what LA was.
It's a very different thing.
You know? Yeah. Whereas now, I was telling my mother this today. I'm like, girl, it's going to be a minute. Yeah. Because I'm picking it up too quick.
I also would say it's really important to read lots of self-help books.
Well, I have ADHD, so we're going to need something else.
It's important to listen to self-help
That's not going to work either. ADHD brains never read books and we never listen. Okay. So even, I tried audiobooks, and you know what happened to me? I saw a bird, and then I got into it. And then somehow the book was like, and that's enough. We're done. And I was like, wait, what? I've been over here with these birds for
I don't know, girl. I feel like, how do you take information? Like, how do you learn new information then?
Online, like, or research for something that I'm into. It has to be along those lines.
I would say that if you're a person that's got ADHD trying to heal from a breakup and trying to learn how to let go, you got to find a medium that you're receptive to.
Yeah.
Because honestly,
I know this is weird, but I found something recently on TikTok, and it was like ways to release yourself from a person. And I was like, oh, I like this. So they gave you, they were like, write down 5 things that you would have done differently in a relationship. Write down 5 things you were happy about yourself. It's like, it's a 5. I got to do it, but things like that. So I'm not a big book person.
That's fine. You don't have to be a book person, but I think you definitely have to be a person who, when you're in a space of healing, you have to find ways to introduce new information. Because a lot of the shit that happens is your brain gets hardwired to go a certain way when you're in a relationship. And when the relationship ends, your brain is still trying to go that way. And so you have to...
broke it. This last person broke my brain.
No, it's not that.
I'm definitely not going in that direction.
It's that you're in a grief process, and there's a certain level of denial a lot of times that happens where your brain is just not ready to accept that this is not the path we're on. So if this was the path we thought we was going down, you go through a really heavy grieving process of this is not the path.
Oh, in the
beginning, yeah. And you gotta figure out
what they call that. Your
grief, or
no, you're not worried about the relationship, it was the outcome or some shit that you were hoping for. You're disappointed in the outcome or something like that. Or something like that.
You definitely just go through a grieving process of like, my life is about to look completely different than what I thought it was going to look like. And so that was definitely my experience. And so for me, I ended up reading a ton of self-help books, and I started reading books on how to think, which just ended up helping me a lot with my anxiety and depression, because I was reading stuff about how to kind of open up new pathways in your brain. And
I read The New Earth.
I read A New Earth.
That was the last and only book. It took me a year.
Yeah, I love A New Earth.
It was long. It's a long book.
I love A New Earth. A New Earth actually introduced me to the concept of non-attachment, non-judgment, and non-resistance. which basically just means that we don't get super, and I talk about this all the time, not getting super attached to a certain outcome and not resisting.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'll let you finish
not resisting what is in front of you. Like if, for instance, Lyft is exhausting for me to do, but at the end of the day, or actually, for instance, I'm gonna just start over because I don't be wanting to tell people I do Lyft. I don't know why, but for instance, driving. I don't know. I guess you could do Lyft and Uber, but I don't know. You tell people,
girl, you be overthinking it.
I know.
You be Lyft gonna watch the pod. Like, gotta tag this bitch.
I have OCD, guys.
I was like, what?
This is an OCD thing.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so driving can be very exhausting for my body. I don't really have another option right now. And so I could approach it with, I hate it. It's the worst. It's taxing. I'm tired. I want to leave my existence.
Perspective is...
But yes, your perspective changes when you just live a life of non-resistance. I can't change this right now. So I'm going to just look for the ways that this is okay for me to do. Like I love how much of LA I get to see. I love how many new restaurants I found. I found so many new restaurants to visit. I got a list.
Yeah.
I got a list of places.
During that whole process of getting over this situation, you worked through books, you moved homes, like new location, restart over.
Like literally across the city. It was a part of LA that I had not even discovered. And that allowed me to create my own life in a new part. It felt like a new city for me.
Right.
So I think that's super important. I just wanted to clarify that.
Did you feel like you learned anything from that breakup that helped you get through it?
Yes. So, and this would ultimately come later because there were still like times, years after the breakup where I was like, oh, that sucks. But I think ultimately for me, it just became a thing where I was comfortable enough to say exactly what I wanted and to walk away if I wasn't getting it. And so there were some concessions that I made in that relationship, and I shouldn't have made those concessions. We were, as much as I think we were compatible in some areas, we were very incompatible in other areas.
Very much
and
so.
One of us needed to walk away. And I think the writing was on the wall for me that this was probably not the relationship that I wanted to be in, but there were a couple things happening. We had been together since we were young. We were living in a very expensive city. We also loved each other. And as much as we knew how to love each other at that moment, you know? And I think ultimately the idea of leaving that relationship was scarier than staying in it and just kind of seeing if it would work out.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it.
So now I don't be scared to leave shit. That's what I learned. Okay. Yeah.
I feel like mine's a little edgier. After the broken engagement, I was sad. I was really, really sad.
I was devastated. Yeah.
I didn't expect that for us. I was in LA by myself.
Yeah.
He had family here, and I made some friends in comedy, but when you move here with somebody else, you kind of are, that's your people.
Yeah.
So I didn't have anybody, and I was doing Instacart at the time. So that was the first time I was like not working with anybody. And then, he wasn't around.
That time when you be like, oh, we used to do this together. I got to do this shit by myself now. You come home and the house just hella quiet.
Well, we had a cat together.
Okay. I had a dog. The dog was driving me nuts because we was in a new apartment, and he was like, what the fuck is this shit? I want to go home. And I was like, home.
The first couple months of that breakup, I think I just spent a lot of time working and was very, very confused. I would say I was immature at the time. I think I partied my sorrows away. That was probably my hardest years of LA partying.
I don't even think it's immature.
2018, I was that girl.
I think you just be like trying to find relief.
Well, I was that girl. I turned into that girl. Yeah. I was an it girl. And I was in... Me and my mom, when she moved to Atlanta, we be laughing about this now because we old ladies, we aunties now. But we be like, bitch, we was outside. Yeah. Chris Brown house, Jeremiah house. We partied so hard that I don't even know, and I was still doing shows.
Yeah.
I partied so hard, my cat didn't like a pair of boots I had.
He was like, when these bitches, when these boots come on, this bitch leaving. Let me scratch these bitches up. Let me tear these boots up, honey.
So for me, it was a very hard transition. But I will say, I would never do it this way now. But I think I drank and partied.
I drank excessively,
and I went out
and I ate everything in sight. Yeah,
and I was edgy. I was an edgy bitch.
I drank so much and smoked so much weed. Oh my God.
I was living my edgiest life.
I was living my worst life, actually.
Yeah, I was living my worst life for sure. It wasn't a healthy life at all.
It was not a healthy situation. I was annihilated. Yeah. The shit really, and I was in therapy every single week. Thank God. I was in therapy because this is the other thing. I didn't realize I had ADHD OCD at that point. And so I was ruminating so bad.
I mean, I would go through that too, but I think that's a bad habit that I have in general that I'm learning now.
Yeah.
But what I tell you that I did learn, and I don't know if everybody sees it this way. I looked at it this way. My way of getting over that particular breakup was the person that I ended up dating afterwards was a reflection of me. And he was annoying. And so I was like, bitch, if this is you, we gotta change. He was a lot.
Okay.
He was a lot, and he was, I don't know what it was in that time of my life, but I had never been someone who would receive it that way. Like the reflection of this person was so, y'all, it was potent to the point where I hated him because it was like, I hated myself from seeing this person.
Okay, yeah.
It was that, and we went on and off for a year, and then more things happened. Like, I think for me, a lot of my breakups were, which I posted recently, I learned later that it was not about the person. It was all about me the whole time.
Any of your breakups are going to be about you, though.
What I learned from him, and then the roommate that I got, I was like, oh, you got to stop partying like this. You have a drinking problem.
Okay, this is
everybody around me was drugging and drinking and passing out. And even if I wasn't as that bad, I'm like, this your circle, bitch.
Yeah.
So you need to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
So after I left that relationship and I was with that roommate, the entire pandemic, I was like, oh, you don't think you have a problem, bitch? You have a drinking problem and you might considerably be doing too much. Like my roommate was lit to where I would look at her and I'd be like, is this who I am? She would be fucked up. And we worked at the same place. She would drink at work. Damn. And I would do that shit too because we were bartenders. I would drink at work. But I would never be sloppy, so I didn't think it was a problem.
Yeah.
But when in reality, you on the same boat,
You're doing
bitch.
the same thing.
You drinking here. You drinking at the happy hour. Y'all gonna go to the party tonight. Y'all gonna come back tomorrow, do the same job. It was a wash and repeat.
Yeah.
So and then it was also, I was noticing with her, it was like, she moving too fast. Yeah, you don't want to be in a relationship, but you don't need these many people.
So I think we definitely have very opposite. So I went and this is just my way anyway. I'm always going to go very internal when I go through something major and I need to be by myself. So I was by myself for a long time and I would hang out with my friends and stuff. But for the most part, I just do a lot of processing of my shit on my own. And I find that it's really easy for me because people would be like, I wrote this down actually because I had started kind of writing down what my journey was like. People would always be like, you're handling this so well. I wasn't necessarily handling well, but I was doing a lot of internal work on myself by myself so that when I was out, I could have a good time. So I was doing a lot of therapy. I was also doing a lot of just, like I said, that stuff that you do alone that you are not necessarily used to doing alone, but that is necessary because you're not in a relationship anymore.
Right.
And so
Well, I didn't have that. I'm sorry, I didn't say this part. I didn't have that. After I healed from the broken engagement, I realized something that was very scary to me that I didn't learn until probably now. I don't think that we were truly in love. I think that I love. Well, I think at the time I was so obsessed with love so much that I was with this person. I haven't talked to him in a while, but I think with him too, and it's something that I'm noticing with my life and relationships. I be feeling like a little trophy bitch to men. Like it's fun to say you date this girl that does blah, 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 but you really don't like her.
Yeah.
Deep down, I don't really want her to be doing all that, but it's cool to tell everybody. Yeah. So like, I feel like for me, the way that our relationship was and how it eventually depleted, it was like, oh, we were no longer useful to each other. We got to LA. You figured out what you was doing. I figured out what I'm doing. And it looks like we don't really want the same shit.
Okay.
And even though that hurt because I'm such a control freak, because I was like, you can't just leave me. What? You know? So I realized later, and I had a lot of relationships like that. A lot of friendships like that. Like the person after that I told you I had the reflection with, that was where I learned that from. I'm like, this person's very selfish. They're very abrasive. They're very self-centered. They need to be the center of attention. You don't even know if this is really what they want. This is what they want today. And I didn't realize I was carrying that.
Okay. Yeah, no, it
so
was
mine wasn't like thinking about him and being like, we were right here.
Oh,
it was more of like me having a moment with me.
Okay.
Every place I went that I remember that we were together, I would think about it, but it would never be in a heartfelt space. It would always be like, damn, bitch, you really changed.
Okay.
That's for me. Sorry to cut you off. But
no, it's okay. I think we definitely were very much in love. I will say that we were very much in love. I ultimately think that it was not meant to go on for as long as it did. Actually, no. It went on for as long as it was supposed to go on. I really, truly believe that things happen in the timing that they're supposed to happen. And I ultimately think that the way that it happened was shitty, and I hate that he did what he did, but also the way that shit, like, what is it called? Cutting your teeth when you get, like, sharpened and you get, like,
bitch, I
strengthened. Yeah, and I also think, I'm sure that his children are, like, a huge blessing to his life, and so it is what it is. Like, you hate the way that some shit shakes out, but at the end of the day, things are going to happen the way that they need to happen for you to ultimately reach your highest good. Yeah. And so I'm not angry with him in any way, but I will say that we were absolutely in love, and the way that it happened, because of the nature of our relationship, everybody was just kind of like, bitch, what are you saying? Because people would be like, y'all are just so cute, because we was in love. Like, it just was a very cutesy little thing. And so for me, there was a lot of time that I had to spend learning how to be by myself, because I had been with this person since my late teens. I had to learn how to, like, be okay with coming home to a silent apartment, because we would come home and you have that, like, moment in relationships where it's very comfortable to be quiet, but you also can just each other's ear off, where you just yapping about your day.
See,
and
that's
your besties.
That's the thing.
We were besties.
I didn't learn that until later.
Yeah, we were absolutely besties, and so it was a very
positive. It
was a very positive situation. This is why it was so hard for me to get through, though, because ultimately the shit just kind of ripped the rug out from under me, because I'm like, I cannot believe this person that I was, like, besties with. Like, we were really tight.
Really my problem.
Yeah, I'm like, when did you, why would you? It created such a black hole for me, because I just couldn't believe that a person that I was this close to would do me this way.
And again, in the end, as I grew and saw what kind of woman I was and what kind of person he is and where he is now, yeah, I was like, were we serious? What the fuck? But I will say, I think what I learned through that and over time, I think there's a problem with me with the rug being pulled under. I'm not sure. I'm still tapping into that with myself, but I'm like, I don't know if that stems from childhood or a male figure in my life, but it's something about pulling some bullshit on me. I ain't gonna be able to walk away easily. Somebody gonna have to feel it.
Yeah, so
I might not have to get violent, but you gonna have to remember. It's gonna be. You gonna have to remember.
There's gonna be some form of retaliation
somehow.
Yeah, something. No. So I think
a curse
that was the last time anybody pulled. And the thing is, I left that relationship, but I've also left every single thing after that. Like, and this is what I mean, I'm avoiding attachment, because you get one red flag with me, and baby, I'm out. I don't need to see nothing else.
I mean, I'm like that now. Yeah. I think after the broken engagement and then the relationship I was in after that, I was still dumb. I was still in this mindset of, I just want love. I just want to get married. This can happen.
So I think you should do some meditations on healing the mother wound and healing the father wound.
Oh, I've done those. I mean,
like
this
a
is
sleep.
Like
no, but I mean in general, just like sleep meditations.
Oh yeah, I do those now.
Yeah,
with my little Beats by Dre
them
on,
little sleep meditations really.
But for me, a lot of my
right.
getting over was learning about myself. It was never really like, this is what I did to get over this person. It was like after. I just feel like my life has been cycles. Like after him,
everybody's
it was
like the cycles. Yeah.
What I learned from that and then how that ended was like cool. And I ended that because my third eye opened in pandemic. Like I was done with him in pandemic. I was done I knew in pandemic, I was like, everybody around me's done. They'll never see me again.
Yeah.
Like I got an apartment and just disappeared. Didn't tell the person, like I was dating him. He was like, where do you live? Nowhere. Blocked. He to this day still be trying to hit me up because he can only talk to me on the gram. But
oh my God, I love that.
Because I blocked him on my phone. I never told him where I live. Same thing with my old roommate. I like disappeared.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, where did you go? And like, I was like, I never will speak to people again.
Okay.
Because I had, the light bulb came on. I was like, everybody in your circle.
Oh, so you don't even tell people, you just disappear?
Oh, I left. I'm a ghoster when I get tired. When I was there, I was just like, everybody drinks and does drugs all
Look,
the time.
this was me disapproving. Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't know how to have a conversation, so when I can't think of what to say, I'll be like, hit the buzzer, I'm out of there.
This why I said sometimes I just got to like write out a text and send it and put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Because the thing is, I'm going to check to see if you texted me back. But ultimately, I got to get it off my chest and I don't want you to just think I disappeared. I got to tell you.
I'll be disappearing.
Yeah.
And then after him, I dated someone, which was good. I feel like after I got through that last thing, I dated this person, he kind of brought me back to life as far as like a happier bitch. I think the bad thing about that was I still had a lot to heal from.
Well, I think if he brought you back to life, then
he brought me back to life in a way of I hadn't like what had happened with my ex-fiance and then the guy that I dated after that. I was like, oh, men are weird. He was like opening doors for me and like making sure I was okay. The mistake that fell apart for us, because I felt like I thought he was a great person. I thought we were really going to make it. The problem was I had healed, but I had gotten a little to a point where like the first thing a man does, I'm about to cheat. Oh
God.
That was wow. So like we were together.
I was not ready for that. I didn't think you was going to say that. Okay.
Yeah, baby, forget about it. That relationship, I was turned.
Okay.
He called me so many times. I would be like, what? That ain't my baby. But he did something that scared me. Like in the beginning, it was like, oh, I like this dude a lot. It was cool. He was going through a divorce at the time. And I was like, cool, we could just take it slow, whatever. But he was like mentally messed up. One day I was out with my friend and randomly he like texted me and was like, I think we have to end this relationship. Randomly, out of nowhere. And when he did that, I was like, I'm going to keep playing Jenga, and didn't say nothing. And then I just was like, all right, on to the next. And then he hit me up and was like, oh, I was going through a lot with the divorce or whatever. And I just didn't know if I should get myself involved and blah, blah, blah. But at that time, he had lost me. So even if he was trying to rekindle it and make us work, but I was like, I can't trust you now. So I'm going to have another one in the bag every time. And so that never got better between us because he was trying to be serious and like work it out with us. But at that time, I had moved into another form of healing I needed to do, which is something I ended up finding out later was also an issue because I talked to my brother about this. Me and my brother are like, oh, we've always been having another side.
I was going to say, did you end things with him? Like, how did that end?
It was terrible. Oh, yeah. He kept on and off breaking up with me and always kept thinking that I was messing with the ex. And it was like, we had our drama or whatever. And he was always like, oh, you be lying about this. And then one day I was like, okay, cool. I only did this because of XYZ and you aren't even divorced yet. All of this was just, I don't know what to think. And he was like, no, we just had to be cool. And we did, but then he couldn't move on. Like now, when I was like, oh, okay, my bad. I was living my life because you kept being like, we can't do this until I get. So when we finally got into what I would call like a committed relationship, he got weird where he was like not believing anything I said. It got super insecure. That was before. I wasn't anymore. We weren't even a couple. We were just kicking it. When we became a couple, I said out the gate that I've had a long term of toxicity and trying to learn.
Girl,
he didn't believe me.
What?
So we broke up.
Why would he believe you?
I told him, leave. Don't be here if you don't trust me.
Honey.
Whatever. And he was just like, no, I just feel
like... The messer becomes the messy, honey.
I'm trying to tell
God.
This is what I did. And then eventually, I was just like, I don't want to be with you anymore. Like, stop talking to me.
Okay.
And I met somebody else. And I liked them more. Okay. And he called me one day. That's how it ended. He called me one day and he was like, and I was like, yeah, never call me again. I'm very sick of you always thinking I'm cheating. So I think that you should head on out and find someone else. And he was like, you owe me a relationship. And I was like, click.
Not owe you a relationship.
Psychotic. By the way, before y'all try to judge me and be like, oh, that's on me. No. After I said, sir, I will not be a part of this. Every day you think I'm cheating after I told you why and what was going on. And now you want to, no. After that, bitch, and I said, move on, go be with somebody that, and I was with a new person, he started hitting me up being like, well, we should be in an open relationship because,
baby,
again, before you judge me, sometimes I'm giving them what they came for, okay? I picked badly. Okay. I picked terribly.
Okay.
Which is why I'm saying I'm better now.
Okay.
But I picked terribly in the past. He was a great boyfriend, but he should have never said he didn't want to be with me randomly. Because then after that, I was like, I don't know. And he did it multiple times, by the way.
Yeah.
That was the one. I just didn't want to go into a whole long story about him because it's corny. But he did it multiple times. That was one time that he did it again.
What was
it
his
was
sign?
like, he was a Cancer. Crazy than a
Okay.
overly.
You know, the thing is, I did this to a guy.
And he had too many kids. 6 of them? No.
Oh, no.
Mm-mm.
Oh, we need to talk offline about that.
Yeah. He knew how to put it down, though. 6 kids, you cold. But you professional.
Question about that.
But no.
Okay.
So let me tell you how I got over that and what I learned from that.
Uh-huh.
This was a big deal. That was the time where I took a year.
Okay.
After him, I was just like, bitch, you turned. And you was lying. So
okay, this is why all I wanted you to acknowledge is like you actually was lying.
I was lying. So after that, I took a break, and that's when I met my ex that I went to Paris with.
Okay.
We kind of dated casually, but he was in San Diego, so we didn't really move too fast. I was kind of by myself the whole year of 2021, so I drowned myself in my career, guys. That's what I used. Okay. I became a gym rat, and I drowned myself in comedy, and that was the most successful year, I would say. I wouldn't say the most successful. I would say that was the year that put me to where I am now. I put out a special that year during the pandemic. I did the party.
Okay.
I opened for Damon Wayans.
Okay.
I was killing. 2021, if you go look at any of the pictures on my Instagram, I was a bad girl. Eating. And then finally I end up with the guy that I was with, which I wouldn't say he was a bad boyfriend. It was a great relationship. We had a great relationship. I think I bloomed in that relationship. I think I was a completely different woman. There was no cheating. There was a lot of great communication. I had learned so much from the past, from the person that I had the reflection with, to the person that I made the mistakes with, to where my communication and everything was so different in this relationship. But what I did learn, ladies, is that men are weak, okay? And like, they're not like us. They're gonna do dumb stuff. And you gotta be ready for that. What I mean is weak is what we sitting here talking about how I took a year. Men aren't doing that, baby.
Oh, they're not doing that.
Like when me and my last ex broke up, y'all, it was a beautiful relationship. And I never want to say anything negative about it. But I would tell you this. It didn't have to be negative. I didn't have to curse you out like that. You ain't have to lie though. Men will lie and then get another girl the next hour and then be like, I don't know what. Like that is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When you play in my face, well, ta-da, nigga.
Yeah.
It's like what is that?
Jack in a box.
I'm going to come out, wow. It's going to be like, ta-da. You better not play with me. But yeah, I think that was my thing. I didn't really read books. I really didn't, move or any of those things. I think it was more of just a reflection and seeing who I did not want to be.
Okay.
And by the time I left that last relationship, that was a big deal for me because throughout my entire life in relationships, I just let them fizzle out. I got that terrible thing that men got. Like, I ain't happy, but I'm gonna wait for her to go.
Oh, no.
I do that terribly. Well, not now, but I did that terribly. Like with that person, I knew I wasn't happy. I was sick of what was going on.
Yeah.
And I was kind of being a bad person to him because I wasn't good at saying, I don't want this.
Yeah.
It was more like, I'm going to keep being terrible so you decide to go.
That is definitely a very
manly thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I've learned, that is a thing that is in my household.
Mm.
A lot of my bad traits were picked up from what I saw. And when I have conversations, like I've never had conversations with my father about it, but he was a terrible person. It's 10 of us. I think I told y'all that before. But when I have conversations with my mother, she'd be like, bitch, you was outside turned up. Why was you mad at my daddy? She was like, she talks like that now. She'd be like, I don't know why you always got one boyfriend. Like, what? What's going on? So like and then I talked to my brother. He was like, oh, I was toxic for years. I didn't become better until like my wife. And even I wasn't even good then.
Yeah.
She was helping me and we read books and stuff together.
Oh, girl.
So it was a long line of what I come from.
Okay.
So I had to like learn for the people. Through him, it was just like, oh, you do be lying. You do be having other shit going on. He's the first that's like not allowing it.
Yeah. And so I think probably we had like opposite where everything that I was seeing in my house, I wanted to be the opposite of that. So
I did too, but I didn't know it was in my system.
Well, yeah. I think also like there's like an anxiety that I feel if I'm in something and I don't want to be in it anymore, or I have to tell them I got to get out. And so I was in a relationship once and I broke up with this guy 3 separate times. And he would not let me break up with him.
3 separate times is crazy.
He was like, we not breaking up. You're fine. You just anxious. And I was like, no, I don't want to be here anymore. And the last time we broke up, I just kind of had to have a conversation with him. Like, I cannot get peace about this. I got to go. And so I cannot really let it fizzle. I have to be vocal if I'm having anxiety or don't really want to be there anymore. And we gotta wrap up. But if I'm having anxiety and I don't really want to be there anymore, I am very vocal with the people that I'm with, just because of what happened in my house with my dad kind of leaving in the middle of the night and me not really knowing
I think that's a Virgo thing. Everybody that I know that's a Virgo be real quick to be like, hit the buzzer. I'm done. All of my Virgo friends.
Well, no, but I don't think people are as
real quick to be
communicative about it as I am.
I feel like you all do? My Virgo friends are you will get a contract in the mail being like, we'll never see each other again. Virgos are very similar like Capricorn, very business oriented on their release.
Yeah, I gotta release. I got no problem. Back here. Yes. And so there is only a couple times where I've just dropped out of something without saying anything. And in those times, I've just felt like the person that I was like not talking to anymore wouldn't have gave a fuck anyway. So I just kind of was like, okay, let me just exit stage left.
Yeah. See, I was terrible at that.
No, I have to say like, he'll leave eventually. Yeah, no.
And then even now, I need to work on that, because one thing I will say that I have noticed in my life now that I'm like, ooh, girl, you just something with that. Even with my last ex that I told y'all that was really great, there were red flags for me, and I broke up with him like twice, and he wouldn't let me. He kept on being like, they always find a way to bring my ass back. This is the same thing with my last recent ex. I saw the flags and I was like, I don't think this is for me. Yeah. And he was just like, well, I could change this and that. They always be like, I'm going to work on. And then it just keeps being a thing. And then I just don't go.
No. I think as far as like letting go is concerned, you have to be okay with being the person to let go. You have to be understanding of the fact that sometimes you might be the person that gets let go of. Mm-hmm. And I think ultimately you got to really invest in changing up. When you're trying to like heal from a relationship, you really have to invest in changing up everything you were doing inside that relationship to try to figure out who this person is that you are outside of it. Because depending on how long you were there may be some layers to yourself that you got to get off and uncover.
We're going to end on this. I'm going to say, I think that my biggest lesson out of all the relationships that I have is not that I need to change anything about me. I think I learned from my last two, after everything that I told you that I've been through, that I think I'm in a wonderful space. And I think I'm a great woman. I think I am doing terrible at who I choose. And I think that is where we're at. I can't really say now, because after this last breakup that I had, to talk about how I healed through this is completely different than how I healed through the last one. This one was like grateful. I don't know why.
And that's how I felt about
this one with the strength of 20 men.
Yeah.
And I left this one with you. I never left this feeling not worthy as a woman. Maybe from the choices I made after whatever we went through. But even now, I don't feel bad about those. Yeah. I feel like this was a blessing. Yes. I could never, ever say this. I think I left this being like, you learned.
Yeah.
All you got to do now is apply this shit for real.
And this is how I feel about the guy who I was with for a long time who had kids.
Oh, and then to cut you off, I also now never change my life for anyone. And I didn't do this for this last person. I stay in the gym. I don't stop because they're not doing it. I stay doing the stuff that I like to do. This made it easier, I think, this time for me.
To be who you are and to be consistently.
Because once I moved out of there and went back to my space, for some reason my skin got clear. And then I was like, you like it here.
It was toxic. And it was you got out of the toxic environment.
And I went back to my gym, and I went back to my meditation, and I went back to the food I eat, and I went back to my neighborhood. In my life. Like, that's one thing I will never do in a relationship again. I will never lose myself. Yeah. Because that makes it easier to move on when you still you and you still doing your same stuff. So that means your regular life is still in rotation.
And I had lost myself so much in that long relationship. And so coming out of it, now that I know who I am, I'm just very protective of that piece. But to your point, I don't have like, when I talk to people about it, they'd be like, oh my God, I hate him. I don't hate that man.
I don't hate any. No.
I'm so grateful for that situation. And I hope that he is doing well.
Well, I don't know ultimately, if I hope that.
No, I do. I honestly hope that he's doing well. But I remember talking to one of my friends years ago, and I was telling her about it, and I was like, fuck him. Like, I was still in that energy. And she was like, one day you won't feel like that. One day you'll wish him well. And I just
never gonna wish them well. I'm so sorry.
I could not.
Who is this? Your sister said this?
No, one of my friends. I couldn't really. I couldn't really see where she would be coming from with something like that. But ultimately, like, I just don't have the energy to be invested in hoping that he's. I don't have the energy to be investing any kind of negativity into anything. Like,
I'm not investing it. I just don't like them.
And that's fine, but I don't even dislike him. If I see him out, it's all good. Like, hi, I hope everything is well. Like, I'm not angry at this person at all because, and I've said this before, the person that I am now does not exist if he didn't do what he did. And what he did was fucked up. I mean, it was terrible. It was horrible. It was no good. It was bad. It was awful.
So that's why I don't like them.
But at the end of the day, like, I am very grateful for the person that I've become. And I'm just not going to harbor any negative energy towards it because ultimately, I don't think that people, and especially this guy, because you know these people, right? Like, we were together for a very long time. The way that it ended sucked. It was fucking awful. But that is not a, like, representation of the totality of the relationship. And the majority of the relationship was really good. The way that it ended was really fucking horrible. And I
guess I'll give you that.
Yeah, I hate that it happened that way. But ultimately, I'm not going to let the way that it ended, even though it was something that I had to do a lot of work to heal from, color my entire feelings about the relationship.
No.
It is
that's
what it
not
is.
I mean.
Like, I'm good. I really don't have no kind of negative feelings about the shit at all.
No,
like,
that's not what I mean.
Yeah.
That's not what I mean. Like what I just said was every last one of those relationships, even though they weren't the people for me, I learned from every last one of them. Even the friendships and roommate type stuff. I just don't like them.
Okay.
Like that, to me, I look at it like this. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sitting around with negativity driven towards them, but I look at it like people aren't dumb. And people know when they're doing terrible things to you.
100% he knew what he was doing was wrong.
And to me, it's just like, I'm going to take the positive out of it and say, you know, I grew from it. I learned from it. That's what you're giving yourself. But I'm not finna give you no love. Like, if I see you outside, you're dead to me.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just not. I think I just have very, like, I'm just
if I ever see any of my exes, I'm not finna walk up and say hi.
No, and I don't even gotta walk up and say hi. But I think it ain't never gonna be.
And if you come up to me and say hi, it's gonna be, oh, hey. And I'm about to turn around. Even if ain't nobody there, I'm finna look at the bird again. Or I'm gonna find a tree.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I think because it was such a long relationship and because so much of my formative years were spent in that relationship, even though it ended terribly, I don't look at it negatively. And I'm not talk to you. Yeah, and I don't need to have a relationship with that person or anything like that. Like, we don't need to be friends. But ultimately, when I look at it, it's just like, okay, that was a significant portion of my life. That is done.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that it happened. I've learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about myself in the relationship and outside of the relationship.
Once you make me cry when the snot come down, I can't like you.
Okay. That's fair. That's healthy.
You know?
I'm not saying I like him. I'm just saying I don't have ill will towards him.
Down,
yeah.
That's it for you.
There's no ill will. I'm good. Like, I feel very balanced and even and what do you call it? Apathetic about it. Like, and I will close on this. This is something that I think is so funny. There was a certain part of LA where I used to go to Target, and I remember being over there. I think I told you this weekend. I remember being over there, and this was right after my breakup. I saw a guy walking with 2 little kids, and it just destroyed me. You told like, I fucking died inside. I had to pull over because I was crying so hard. And the other day I was walking I was over there by that same Target, and I saw a man walking with 2 little kids. And I thought back to it and I was like, damn, that's crazy. And I just kept driving. I don't have feelings about this anymore. And so I think that's probably why I'm just kind of like, I hope he's well. Like, because ultimately my energy is always going to be, I hope whoever's doing well. If you did me wrong because you were fucked up. Yeah. It didn't have shit to do with me. And I hope you've worked through whatever you were going through at that point. But I'm not harboring no ill will. I'm good. That's where I am. Yeah.
Well, folks, we're yin and yang, and that's our show.
That's our show. Have a good week, friends.
I'm going to put hot sauce on it. That's just what I'm going to do.